Yeah, thank you very much. I'm very glad here and to have my presentation. Just like the key master said, about the Made in China 2025, I think my presentation is very different with him, because she said in a view of the technology, you see this the robot and the OS and the data and a lot of things about factory and the intellectual manufacturing. But I want to say in another way, there's how to the government, how to the government to do, and what is our policy to move and to improve the factory, the company, the enterprises to go this way, to move on the made in the or the intellectual manufacturing. It's real. I think this my presentation. Factory, the company, the enterprises to go this way, to move on the made in the or the intellectual manufacturing. It's real. I think this my presentation. China 2025. I think if we talk these things, we think, and we will talk from the R&D activities and these things. So you see this our country, the R&D expenditure. So you can see this. Yeah, you can this grow very fast and continuously. And you can see this the patient of our enterprises and the dominates the turnover of the technology transaction contract and reached 983 billions, and it's a very big number. And I think this all think this how about our country and how big of our market and the enterprises put and on these activities. And you can see this very famous company enterprises. For example, this some state-owned countries or state-owned enterprises like the CRRC, like the CNNC, Chinese Nuclear Power Technology, and some is privacy the enterprises like Huawei and Alibaba is the very famous here. I think it's no more introduction about these companies. And so we can see this the R&D is very big and grow very fast, and some very famous enterprises here, and they grow up very quickly. So I think why do we put forward Made in China 2025? So this I think is some very nearly reasons as I think like the industrial 5.0, and I think this how the and why the government to think about this. You see this if we do some analysis, we can see this in the global value chain. The China, the position is here. Yeah. We can see this, especially in mainland of China, we are factoring things is in the bottom of the global value chain. So we want to have a more value is one to the both two sides to a way to grow up. So the goal of the Made in China 2025 is to reach the medium and the top level of global industry. That's our most important goal. So the government do a lot of things about this, and you see this. The China government is very powerful, and they will do a lot of things to move our economy and the society to development. So it's, I think it's mainly they have 4 parts about the innovation policy. First is the improve the mechanism of the industrial technology innovation led by enterprises. For this side, I think there's 4 parts here. First, I want to emphasize is how to make the enterprises, especially the industrial the people here, to have a how to say them, how can do things, can take a part in the decision of the policy making process. So enterprises participate in the formulation of the national planning policy and the standards is a very important change this year. You see this some company enterprises can put forward some new idea about the R&D project or some other project will send and reach the most the Ministry of the Science and Technology, and we will put this idea on this program. Maybe next year we'll put these things into the science and technology programs. This I think this is very important here. And second is enhance the support and the inclusive financial and tax policies. And I think these things is very common policies. But you see this the effect is very clear, and I think it's a very a lot of things to push the enterprises to input more R&D activities. And the third, I think the most important policy is to support the small and medium-sized enterprises. I think this policy is the most important. So we can see there's so many things, and so this slide is have 4, and process the next one is this. The service platform for the technological entrepreneurship and innovation. I think this very important for this government, especially for the Premier Li Keqiang. This very new and very powerful policy, and you can see this way in the incubator. We can provide the space and the entrepreneurship, the consulting, research and development, and manager consulting, and venture capital, all things in here. And you can see this in the Zhongguancun in Beijing, or the very famous in the Shenzhen, somewhere at Shanghai, these things. And I think this service platform is a market space. This is very grow up very quickly, and we can this 4 function. First is the workspace. Second is the network space. Third is the social space, and fourth is the resource sharing space. I think this is very famous and big support for the startups. And this is, I think, is a special policy of the China. And you can see the left is the national high-tech industry development zones. This way, you can see the effect is these zones is very famous and markable. And you can see the nearly 40% of the countries and investment is here. And now we have nearly 14 national innovation demonstration zones here. And this way, and these zones, some is together, but this is more policy here. We can make a lot of polite policy here to pull the staff grow quickly. And this is some sharing opening service. And the fourth side, I think, is to keep the market very active and very fair. So this we will implement more strict protection system of the intellectual property rights, and we will create the market environment of the fair competition. So we have some summary about the policy. We can see this in the past nearly 40 years, the modern, totally modern 2000 STI policies in China, and we will see this. We will come to see the history. We can see this is evolving rapidly from the IP 1.0 to the IP 3.0. That means it's from the innovation linear model to the innovation feedback model to the innovation system and the ecological model. It's very, very different, and I think this very very important, the things and the change in the policy making. And these 4 points for these policies. First, the Chinese government supports the technological innovation of enterprises and provides policies with the equal treatment to domestic and foreign enterprises. And the second is the dominant role of the enterprises in technological innovation need to be continuously strengthened to implement the new development concept of the innovation, coordination, green, open, and sharing, as well as the promote structural reform of the supply side. So we are innovation is so we're open. We can have a lot of cooperation with others, with Europe, with Germany, and so I think this is a very big chance. Third is the way of the supporting enterprises is converted to create fair, inclusive, law-based, and open innovation, ecology, and policy environment. The last, I think, is encourage the domestic enterprises to enhance the innovation, international cooperation and communications. So I think this all the IPs is make the innovation easier. That's our policy to do. So thank you very much.